Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, Maseches CHULLIN Daf Ayin Aleph. We begin on Ayin Amud Beis, 8 lines from the bottom. Tanya, we learned in the Brayso, Rabbi Yonasan. You know, I was once speaking to Ben Azai, Namti Loi. I spoke to, so I related to Ben Azai. Namti, some say, is like Ne'um, right? Speak, to convey. So I conveyed the following concept to Ben Azai. Namti Loi Ben Azai. Lo madnu nivlas behema tahira shemetama. If we take a look at the pasuk in Sefer Vayikra, Perek Yud Aleph, pasuk Lametes. It says v'chiyamas mina behema asher hi lachem la'achla. So if one touches this carcass of a behema, there is tumah. Hence we know that a behema tahira, right? Asher hi lachem la'achla, edible behema. If he dies, his nevela transmits tumah. That's number one. Likewise, the same regarding an unkosher behema that dies. Likewise, an avela of a chaya tmeya, that too is metame. Why? We have another pasuk. Vayikra perek hey pasuk beis. Oinev shashatiga b'chol davar tamei. O b'divlas chaya tmeya. There goes a chaya tmeya. O b'divlas behema tmeya. So we have behema tmeya. We have a chaya tmeya. We have chaya behema tahira. What's left out? Nivlas chaya tahira le'lamadnu. We haven't yet discovered a source that if a kosher chaya, of the chaya variety, a deer, etc., would be an available, that it becomes a source of tumah. How do we know? Nivlas chaya tahira le'lamadnu uminayin. How do we know that to be so? Okay. Numbly, so Ben Azai turned around and responded. We have a pasuk, the pasuk that we're familiar with from the previous Gemara. Kol hoylech al kapav, b'chol hachaya hilechas al arba. Right, so if that dies, it's tummy. The term kol hoylech al kapav, in fact, covers all types of chayos, whether it's a chaya temeya or a chaya tahira. Namti Loisa responded to Ben Azai. I said, does the pasuk say v'chol, which would be, encompassing all these types? V'chinemar v'chol chaya. In which case, I would hear your point. It's covering both types. V'aloi lo nemar ela b'chol hachaya. Pasuk says b'chol hachaya, which sounds more like inside. Something is inside the other, like we learned yesterday. It's coming to cover an unborn animal with another animal. It's coming to teach that if you have malchik kapayim, which is an unkosher animal, it doesn't have the split hooves, inside, so it's a lifeless, unborn animal inside a mother animal of the chaya tmei variety, it's mitzameh, like we learned yesterday. So how can we apply this as a source to the idea that an avela of a chaya tahira is metame? Yeah, normally. So Ben Azai responded, okay, Umay Yishmael, you have a Rabbi Shmuel. Perhaps he has something to say about this matter. Umay Yishmael, Omer b'davar zeh. What does Yishmael say about this? Does he have a different source for the tumah of an avela by a chaya tahira? Namti lois. I replied, yeah, actually he does. Rabbi Shmuel is based on a different pasuk, the pasuk that we actually mentioned before, and somehow he includes all varieties, all classes of animals. Namti loy v'chiyamas mina behema. So that phrase, zu behema tmeya, unkosher behema, continues the pasuk, asher hi lachem la'achla, that's edible to you. What's that covering? Zu behema tahira, kosher behema. So once we know that the concept of tumas nevela applies to behemoths of all varieties, kosher and unkosher, we can expand it to chaya as well. Because chaya is always equated to behema regarding halacha. Lamanu, we know from elsewhere, coming up soon in the Gemara, that in fact all the halachas of a chaya b'chlal behema. Chaya runs with the same system, the same rules, the same parameters as a behema. And vice versa, behema b'chal chaya. Behema is covered under the chaya banner. If that's the case, so once the Torah applies a certain halacha to behema, i.e. that there is tumas nevela by behema Torah, by behema tmeya, it covers the chaya of those respective varieties as well. So we know chaya Torah is included b'chlal in the halacha of behema Torah, and likewise chaya tmeya is included in the behema tmeya halacha b'chlal behema tmeya. Now we know that tumas nevela applies equally to all four groups, all four categories. We continue on the next page. Right, so now we know that behema tmeya b'chlal chaya tmeya, behema tahira b'chlal chaya tahira. So basically it goes in all directions. Whatever applies to one applies to the other. Right? So whatever applies to a behema tahira applies to a chaya tahira. Whatever applies to a behema tmeya applies to a chaya tmeya. Right? And vice versa. Whatever applies to the chaya tmeya applies to the behema tmeya. Whatever applies to the chaya tahira applies to the behema tahira. Okay, so it's one big happy family. After I responded, I concluded this reply. Ubaloshin has a armorly. Suban Azai responded in an expression of woefulness on himself. Chaval, what a pity that I never had the opportunity to interact with Rabbi Shmuel, to apprentice by him, to learn by him. Chaval al ben Azai. What a pity on me, ben Azai. Shaloi Shimesh Rabbi Akiva, I never had the opportunity to learn from Rabbi Akiva, and I wasn't knowledgeable about this source. So we're working with the premise that the term behema covers chaya as well, and vice versa. How do we know? Chaya b'chal behema minol. How do we know that the chaya is covered by the term behema? So whenever it says behema in the Torah, automatically refers to chaya as well. How do we know? The chsiv of a pasuk. The following behemas are edible, are mutar shoy, right? The bull, sex of him, and then it continues by mentioning also examples of chaya animals. Ayil, utzvi, v'yachma. Okay, it's that. Oh, apparently chaya b'chal behema. That under the broader behema umbrella is covered chaya as well. And vice versa, behema b'chal chaya minol. How do we know that the term chaya covers behema as well? The chsiv, pasuk says, Zoi sa chaya, right? Asher toichlu. Here are the kosher signs on your chaya. We call it behema shala oretz. And goes on to say, we'll have to have split hooves, choose its cut. Now it begins with Zoi sa chaya, and continues on with kol behema. Apparently they're interchangeable. Kol first is parsa, right? Okay, so how do you understand the pasuk? Because behema b'chal chaya. A behema is covered by chaya as well. So the Brisa earlier presented sort of a four-way equation. The behema tahira is covered by the chaya, by the behema tmeya, and the vice versa, and the chaya is interchangeable. Pertaining to what? It's more than just semantics. Pertaining to certain halachas that we find by one that applies equally to the other one as well. So which are these halachas? Let's go down the list. Regarding chaya tahira b'chal behema tahira, what's the point that a chaya tahira is like a behema tahira? L'simanim. Oh. That just as the kosher signs which are stated in the Torah regarding the behema apply to the chaya as well. Chaya that exhibits kosher signs is edible. What about the rule that chaya tmeya b'chal behema tmeya? What's the point that the chaya tmeya is included in the behema tmeya family? Laharba. They're just like you can't crossbreed the behemais. Pasuk says behem t'chalei tabia kilayim. So kilayim is stated regarding behemais. Likewise, it would apply to the chayos as well. So even by chayos, you don't crossbreed. What about the fact that a behema tmeya is covered by chaya tmeya? What's that for? Behema tmeya b'chal chaya tmeya. Look at the Rebbe's coming to teach us. Rebbe's halach. The Sanya, we have a brayso regarding a pasuk in Sefer Vayikra, which speaks about a person. It seems like the pasuk is speaking that he merely touched something which is tummy and avela v'chaya, avela v'behema tmeya, chaya tmeya. He brings a carbon. Now, what did he do wrong? Merely touched something which is tummy that makes him liable to a carbon. Rabbi Eimer, let me explain to you what's going on. Let me explain to you the context of the pasuk. Ekrani chaya. Once the pasuk refers to a chaya, right? Why does the pasuk continue? Behema, why mention behema? We already know behema is covered by chaya. Oh, that extra expression is to generate a gzeira shava, to make a linkage between this pasuk and a pasuk later on, which speaks about a fellow who consumed the flesh of a carbon while he was tummy. And he's chayiv kares, and if he does it b'shegig, he brings a special carbon oil of yerid. Never kan behema tmeya. So here in this pasuk it says behema tmeya, which seems to be extra. Elsewhere it says behema tmeya. Malahalan, just like over there. So that later pasuk allows us clarity, gives us context in terms of the circumstance of our pasuk as well, to tell us what violation was committed, what sin did he do. Malahalan, just like over there, Tumas Kodesh was speaking that he ate Kodesh while he was tamei. Avkan Tumas Kodesh, likewise in this pasuk over here, which seems obscure, unknown, right? Not sure what he did. We're talking about Tumas Kodesh, that he ate Kodesh material while he was tummy, or he went into Beis HaMikdash while he was tummy. And then, we say if it was done inadvertently, he brings a carbon. But without this Gzeira Shava, I wouldn't know what it's talking about. I'd say maybe he just merely touched something. No. So this is Rebbe's Gzeira Shava, which is based on the fact that there's an extra, seemingly unnecessary expression in this pasuk. Because once it mentions Nivlas Chaya, why go on to say Nivlas Behema? If Behema is always covered by Chaya, the extra expression is meant to allow us a linkage. It says Behema Tmei here, connects us to the Behema Tmei elsewhere to teach us the context, the setting of the Isser, that he consumed, or he went into Beis HaMikdash while he was tummy. Next on the list, Behema Tahira B'chal Chaya Tahira. What's the point that Behema Tahira is covered by Chaya Tahira? Liyitzira, regarding formation, creation. You see back in Sheshes Me'Bereshis, it says Vayitzer Hashem Elokim Man Adam Kol Chayis Hasada. So the term Vayitzer, Hashem created, Lashon Yitzira, very substantial process, is related to Chaya, with no mention of Yitzira by Behema. So we learn that just like Yitzira applies to Chaya, likewise Behema also relates to this process that experienced this Yitzira, and regarding what? It's none. Regarding a Mishnah. Hamapelas K'min Behema, Chaya V'oif. A woman miscarried, something which didn't appear like a human, had a Behema form to it, a Chaya form, V'oif. So we know that a woman who gives birth or miscarries must observe Yimei Tumah, as though she's Anida, for the first week, if she gave birth to a male, or if it was a female, it's 2 weeks, and then it's followed by Yimei Tahara. Even if she sees Dam, she experiences bleeding, she's still Tahar. If it's a Zachar, 33 days. If it's a Nekeva, 66 days. So what if this thing doesn't appear to be human-like? It's Kimin Behema Chai Va'oif. Bein Tmein or Bein Tahirin, whether they appear to you from the unkosher variety or kosher. Im Zachar, if it appears like a Zachar, Teshav LeZachar. She observes the days like a Zachar, as though she gave birth to a male. Im Nekeva, if it was a female entity that she gave birth to, Teshav LeNekeva. She observes the Nekeva system. Any you do if it's not known, so she has to be stringent. She has to take the longer time period of the Tumas Nekeva, which is 2 weeks, and the shorter time period of the Tahara days, which is of the Zachar, which is 33 days. So she gets sort of cut on both sides. Tesha LeZachar Nekeva. Divid Meir. So according to Meir, even though it wasn't a human entity that she gave birth to, but since the pasuk relates to these beings, the chayos and behemoths included in that, as something which experienced Yetzirah, which is similar to the term used to describe the formation of man, right? So it gives it a certain status. And just as when she gives birth to a human being, we have the observance of the Meituma and Meitahara, the same in this case. The Chachamim, they disagree. Kol she'eina mitzuras adam ein vlad. If it doesn't have the appearance of an adam of human form, it's not considered regarding the halacha of tumas later. Continues the Gemara. Okay, so once we basically now we have the entire gamut of comparisons and equations, comparing the behemah tahira to the behemah tmeya and vice versa. Everything is covered, everything is equated regarding all types of halachas. Now just one point regarding yesterday's discussion. So just briefly, we had a Mishnah yesterday where he discovered a lifeless, unborn animal. And Tanakama says it's not going to transmit tumah because it's in the mother's entity. It's not considered a separate entity, which is mitame. Whether it's in a kosher animal or non-kosher animal, doesn't matter. He's clearly differentiated. He says, well, it depends where it is. If it's an unkosher animal, it's tummy. Kosher, it's tar. And there was a pasuk which served as a source for Rabbi Yitzchak distinction. Now, what did the Rabbanon do with that pasuk? Well, the Rabbanon haikra this pasuk, the pasuk which was Oy nefesh hashatige b'chol davar tamei, abin chayet tmeya, abin masmei tmeya, which was Rabbi Yitzchak source. Lamalis, what do they do with that? The answer is, we had earlier that Rebbe actually dwelled on this very pasuk and used it to generate Exer Shava, to understand the context of what he did with the eating of the Kodesh. So they, according to them, the entire pasuk is just coming for that, even though there are extra words there. But sometimes the Torah does that. We'll present an entire pasuk, even though it's just a single point that the pasuk is teaching us. Once it's expressing it, expresses it all the way, and it's all just coming for that, rather for basic lilis halach. Okay, continues the mission. In this case, it was a lifeless embryo inside a woman, so we're switching to humans. Her vlad passed away inside her. And the white midwife came to help out. She extended her hand inside, and she came into contact with that lifeless being. So what's her status? We know that a person who dies at mace is matame very severely. But what about this embryo? The fact is, she touched mace, she's tummy. Now we'll see later in the Gemara. Really, minatura, it's not going to be matame because something which is balua, tumah, which is enveloped, swallowed up in a greater, being, is sort of deactivated. It sort of becomes neutralized for the time being. So really, minatura, she's not tumah. It's just midrabanan. We'll see later that there is tumah in this case. Hachaya tumah tumas shiva. She's tumah for 7 days, as though she touched a mace. But the woman herself, the mother, the carrying mother, Isha tahira. Unless the embryo is born. Then on the way out, there's contact in a revealed, exposed sense. Yeah. But while it's still inside her, there's no tumah to the mother. Amar Rabba, kashem shetumah blua eni matam. Oh, now we proceed to the sugi of tumah blua. Just as we know, shatuma blua eni matam, an item which is really tummy. But if it's balua, it's enveloped, it's encased, it's swallowed up, like inside a person, inside an animal. It no longer transmits tumah while it's in that state. So just like you can't export tumah while it's balua, kach tahara blua eina matama. Likewise, if you have an item which is tahar, which is currently enveloped in something else, it's swallowed up, a person has it in his stomach, and he walks into a room with a mace, that item inside is shielded from any external tumah. So it's a two-way deactivation. It doesn't go out, doesn't come back. Ask the Gemara, what's your premise based on? Tumah blua menayin. How do we know that tumah, which is blua, does not export? Oh, Pasuk says a person who ate nevela material. Okay, so you became tummy while eating it. Jump into the mikvah, you're good. What do you mean? But the food is still inside you. And that food is transmitting tumah. Yichabes begad, which means he's tail on a mikvah. Aren't we speaking that he ate it a minute before he jumped into the mikvah? Food is still intact, it's not yet digested. He ate the nevela a minute before shkia, then he jumped into the mikvah, and still fresh inside him. And Torah considers him to be tar, apparently, because that nevela material inside him is neutralized, is deactivated, cannot transmit tumah in that state. Ask the Gemara, who says it's based on balua? Perhaps it's because the material is no longer edible. And of course, it's not metame. If it's digested, perhaps there is different. It's not suitable for a ger. A ger is like a guy who's living amongst us. The pasuk says that an nevela is meant to be sent to the ger, indicating that if it's not edible, it's not suitable for a ger, it doesn't have nevela status. So perhaps that's the reason why there's no tumah. Oh, says the Gemara, that's not so simple. So that suggestion can, apply according to Rabbi Yechanan, who says, the Amar who says once it's somehow, somewhat sullied and not, the Amar who says, achazu v'achazu ad lekelav. He holds the opposite. He says that achazu, whether to lose its, to maintain its tumas nevela, which is a higher tumah, v'achazu, whether we're talking about retaining a lower level tumah, like food touches tumah, it becomes tumah. It's not on the same level as a nevela. It's just a rishon tumah. So whether it's this or that, whether we're speaking about a higher or lower level of tumah regarding food, ad lekelav, the tumah stays until the food is no longer edible for a dog. That's really, really, sullied. So up until that point, it still is regarded as food and still retains its tumah. So according to his opinion, shaper. So you can no longer, relate the non-tumah of the nevela material in the person's stomach as being a non-tumah entity because of its sulliedness, because that's untrue. It's still technically going to be metame. So why is it not affecting the person who's toivel? Because it's inside him. So shaper, that substantiates your proof. But according to Rabbah, who has a different opinion of what constitutes a nevela, tumah chamur lager, he says that the higher level tumah that applies to a nevela is only going to be present if, in fact, that material can be eaten by a goy, a ger toishav. But tumah kala ad lekelav, and regarding tumah kala, which is a lower level tumah, tumas oichlin, in that case, if it's still fit for a dog, it still retains its tumah. But in any case, for nevela, you need a much higher bar. It has to be roi for a ger, which this swallowed food doesn't have. So perhaps I can attribute the non-tumah, the non-issue, the non-concern with the nevela inside the toivel, the immerser, to the fact that it's not roi for a ger, not because it's swallowed. Well, says the Gemara, who says it's not fit for the ger, and it's true to lechazi b'fanav. Yeah, if he sees it, he knows that it was swallowed, he wouldn't touch it. But shaloi b'fanav mechzachazi, if it's not around, he spit it out and fix it up a little bit, it's still tasty, it's still edible. If he doesn't know, technically he can eat it. Chazile. In that case, it retains its tumah. In that case, why is it not a concern to be toivel with this stuff inside? The answer is because tumah belua is neutralized. Okay, so that's established. Ashkechan tumah belua. You've established that tumah belua cannot export, cannot transmit tumah. What about the other way? Tahara belua minolan. How do we know that tahara inside a person will not be impacted by any external tumah that's coming in? How do we know it's shielded from the outside? Kavachomer, it's based on kavachomer, based on logic. Uma kli cheres, hamukav tamid pas. Look, you have a kli cheres, a clay container, which is covered with a tight seal. What's his status? So it only works one way. It shields its content from external tumah coming in, but it does not block, doesn't filter the tumah going out. There's tumah inside this sealed container. It's going to shoot out and be metame. It's an environment. We learned in it. Halacha tumah ritzutza, squished tumah. Actually says tumah even in the ground, if it's covered by earth, without a gap which makes it like a oil, if it's just compressed inside, because it just shoots up till the sky. So basically, if something is contained inside the earth, is not blocked. Certainly if it's just in a kli, of course it'll go shooting out. So anyways, despite the fact that a kli cheres has this weakness, so to speak, it will not block tumah that's inside of it from going out and affecting its environment. Nevertheless, matzil al tahara shebaseichim l'tamei, it will shield and protect and spare its content from being affected by the external tumah trying to come in. Okay, so kli cheres has a weakness. It can't block the exporting of its tumah, but it could block the importing, return tumah base. Certainly an adam, a person, shematzil al tumah shebaseichim l'tamei, who has the ability to spare, to block, to protect, to shield the tumah which is inside him from going out, as we explained before. And it didn't, wouldn't you agree that it can protect from coming in? Shematzil atahara shebaseichim l'tamei, protects tahara, it's inside him, from coming tummy, from the surrounding environment. Says the Gemara, you're comparing a person to a kli cheres. Perhaps a kli cheres has a leniency, and that's why it protects. Kli cheres does not get affected from its outside. So if you take a tumah item and come into contact with the external surface of the kli cheres, there's no tumah being transmitted. So perhaps it's based on that weakness and that leniency, so to speak, that it also will protect its content from the external onslaught of tumah. Tumah ba'adam as opposed to a person, shemitame megabe, shemitame megabe, mitame, right? It's basically goes both ways. That as opposed to a person, shemitame megabe, you can't become tummy from the outside if he touches tumor on his, external surface. So again, malak kli cheres shekein ein mitame megabe, tummy b'adam shemitame megabe. And once the adam has that greater susceptibility to tumah, perhaps he can't be equated to a kli cheres regarding protecting or blocking tumah that's enveloped in him from going out. Protecting something which is torah within him from external tumah trying to come in and attack it. Says the Gemara, so what's your distinguishing factor? The halacha of migaboy? We're not talking about migaboy now. You're right, that's a side point. That's a true halacha, that kli cheres is not mitame migaboy. Adam is, we're not talking about that now. Atu anan, are we then migabe kamrin discussing the tumah migaboy? Eteichai kamrinan. We're talking about something that's going on inside the kli cheres, inside the person. Okay, so regarding that element, you have a very good kal v'chomer. So if kli cheres, despite its weakness in being unable to block the tumah from within it going out, still can block a tumah from the outside, block it from coming in, a person who will deactivate, neutralize tumah within him from going out. Certainly, he can block the external tumah from coming in. Says the Gemara, Adarabba. If that's the case, if anything, it makes more sense now. Klicheres chamer, because klicheres really is more strict. If we're looking at the internal space, the mitoichai, in that sense, klicheres is more chamer than everything else, and certainly can serve as basis for kal v'chomer. Look, shekei mitame me'aviroi, the klicheres will be open to accepting tumah through his airspace. So if you hang something which is tummy into the airspace of a klicheres, even without actually touching the walls of klicheres material, klicheres becomes tummy. And if despite that fact, despite that added susceptibility, the Torah still says klicheres can protect its content from being affected by the tumah that's coming from the outside. Certainly a person who in a way is now more lenient. He doesn't have this idea of avir, of airspace. He has to touch things to become. So certainly you would expect him to have this ability, this kula, this leniency, that he would protect something which is swallowed within him from the tumah of the outside. Okay, done. So now we know that tumah belua within a person will not export tumah, and likewise, an item inserted in a person's body will be shielded from any tumah coming from the outside. Says the Gemara, Ashkuchan belua de lamala. So we've established this applies to an item like food that he swallowed malamayla from through the proper ingesting system, right? Proper ingestion. What if it was swallowed from beneath, from the waist area? Would that also be considered balua? Of course, kavachomer, of course. Matzel, coming from the mouth, through the digestive system. Where at that point it's not yet equal, it's not really so profoundly digested. Still, it's already considered enveloped in the person and its matzel. Right? Person who has it inside will not be affected by it because the tumah is sort of neutralized. Lamat, beneath, shoyse ikal, where it's more profoundly affected by the digestive system, all the more so, it should be considered nullified, neutralized. Einadin, of course, shematzel. It serves to deactivate it. Says the Gemara. So why would you say lamata is stronger than lamala? Kluma isel ikal lamata. Isn't it so that the ikal, the digestive element that happens lamata, is only sort of step 2 from what's happening lamala, right? Elal de lamala, right? It's a 1-2 system, right? So 2 isn't better than 1. If anything, it's based on 1. Why is that considered superior? Still, end of the day, the ikul that's transpiring lamata is more profound, it's stronger. In which case, there's all the more reason to consider it nullified and deactivated. Okay, ashkechan below the adam. We've now clarified that something enveloped in a person has this halacha. What about by an animal? Below the behemoth manola, kavachomer, based on kavachomer. Uma adam shemetame mechayim. Even a person who's susceptible to tumah during his lifetime. An animal doesn't become tummy when it's alive, but a person does. Shemetame mechayim. So despite that susceptibility, matzah belua, he shields, he protects when it's belua. Behemoth she'einu metame mechayim, an animal who doesn't have tumah during its lifetime. Of course, if it's enveloped, it's swallowed in the animal, it should be protected. Well, says the Gemara, you're comparing a behemoth to Adam? Perhaps, in a sense, a person has a leniency vis-a-vis an animal. When a person enters a house that has a nega, house is tummy. So the clothing that a person is wearing will only become tummy if he sticks around the time it takes to have a meal. So actually he has to have that delay. As opposed to behema, as soon as he enters the base of menuga, there's tumah right there, without delay. So it's more strict. Well, says the Gemara, what do you mean? Behema de'ena tzricha sheyeh base of menuga. When you say behema, does not require that delay. It's an instant tumah. My hilchos, regarding what are you talking about? Not regarding the behema itself. A live animal doesn't become tummy. Rather, if he's wearing something, wearing a collar, wearing some doggy coat, my hilchos lekel mishal gaba. The garments that the animal's wearing, those become tummy right away? Is that what you're talking about? Well, guess what? If that's the case, then it's no different than if a person would be carrying clothing. An animal doesn't wear, it's not considered like a lavush, not like a garment. So he's just like carrying it. And if a person in that same setting, meaning if a person walks into a base of menuga with clothing in his hands, he's holding it, it also gets instantly tummy. There's no difference. Adam nami loy boy. A person who's carrying clothing, no delay is needed. It's an instant tumah. The snam of a mishnah. Nichnas beis menuga. A person enters a house with a nega. The kelev al kseifav. Kelev here are the garments, folded up on his shoulders, not wearing them, just carrying with sandal in his sandal, tabayis in his rings, biyad, holding them in his hand, not wearing. It's an instant tumah. Hu behei tmei miyad. He and they become tummy right away. If he's wearing them, that's a different story. The pasuk differentiates. Clothing on your back that you're wearing, that has to wait for a meal's worth of time. He's wearing his begadim, sandal of braglov, the voice of boy, shoes on his feet, the rings around his finger. Okay, that takes time. Who tamei miyad? The person who enters becomes tamei instantly, without delay. But the garments that he's wearing, for that you have to wait. 3 minutes, 9 minutes, whatever the shear of a meal is. Until he waits, time takes to eat half of that 2 meal loaf discussed in Maseches Erevin. Paschitin made of wheat, which eaten quicker. As opposed to barley, which takes longer to. Mesev, he's reclining position, so it's a quicker meal. But eating it with some sort of accompaniment, some sort of dip. Okay, but in any case, regarding something that a person would be holding as he's walking into the Beis HaMenuga, that becomes tummy right away. Likewise, a behema who's pulling in this garment, which technically he's wearing, but halachically it's not considered like his garment, like a beggar, just carrying a load. And that's why it becomes tamei right away. By the way, there's no real difference, no distinction between behema and adam in this sense. In which case we can go back and substantiate that kal v'chomer regarding balua. If balua applies to a person, despite the fact that a person is open to tumah experiences during his lifetime, certainly by behema, which is free of tumah, balua would be a sparing factor. Amar Rabba. So Rabba responded to Rabba, who made that statement that balua is neutralized, deactivated both ways, going in, going out, importing, exporting. It's all in the Mishnah, says Rabba Tarvayu. Both those halachis are taught in our Mishnah Tanani. We learned it in the Mishnah. Number one, tumah, balua. The fact that a tumah balua does not export tumah, Tanina. We have it in the Mishnah. And the same thing with tahara balua. A Torah item enveloped, swallowed, encased, is shielded. Tanina, that too is learned in a Mishnah. Here goes. Tumah balua. The halacha of tumah balua, this is not of a Mishnah. Bola tabas tmeyo, a fellow swallowed a ring which was tamei. Okay, so while he took it in, he touched it, it became tamei. Before he approaches truma, he has to immerse in a mikveh toivel. He does tefillah, eats his truma, and we don't really reckon with the tamei, impure, ring that's inside him. It's irrelevant. It's deactivated for the moment. It's inside. He can't, but if he spits it out, now he made contact while it was coming out. So first of all, tmeya, you should know that the ring is still tamei, and it also transmits to the person. So first we learned that the tvila of the person does not help the ring, it was inside him, and number two, the tumah is still there to the point that it affects the person as it's coming in. But while it's inside, it's neutralized. Here you go, tumah balua is not tamei. The second point, tahara balua, Tanina also is learned in the Mishnah. It's not bala tabas tahira. A person swallowed a ring which is not tamei. V'nichnas oil mace and went to a room with a mace, which makes the person tamei. V'hiza, and he went through the paraduma spraying process. V'shana, did it again, right? Do it twice in 7 days. V'tavel, and he immersed in the mikveh. Then he spit out this ring. What's the status of the ring? Technically, he went into a place of tumah, but it was inside a person when that happened. It was spared from tumah. It's as though it never went in. Goes back to its old status. It's always tar. So clearly, tahara blua is protected from the outside. So why did Rabbi have to teach us these halachas that we already knew from the Mishnayos? The answer is like this. Kikama Rabba. You see, from those Mishnahs, you wouldn't necessarily understand that Balua deactivates, that Balua protects. Perhaps the reason why, let's say in the first case where he swallowed a tabas which was tummy, the reason why he can eat truma while it's inside him without concern that the tabas will be matayim him. You know why? Because it's touching him from the inside. It's called beis hastorim. There's another mitigating factor here. It's inside, it's concealed. When you touch tumah, it has to be v'yadav. The Gemara learns from v'yadav. It has to be something exposed, revealed, direct contact, not concealed inside a person. So since the point of contact, that's the issue, the point of contact was concealed. Not because the tumah, which is below, is deactivated. Maybe it's fully active, but you're not touching it. You're touching it with your stomach. That's not considered a proper point of contact. Maybe that's the saving grace here. Right? And likewise in the second case. Yeah, he went into a place with a mace. He became tummy. Why doesn't it spread to the tabas inside him? Because who's touching him? His stomach? That's beis hastorim. That's what I would think. Comes Rabbah and teaches us, no. It's much more profound. By definition, something which is swallowed is deactivated. For instance, let's say he swallowed 2 rings. One tummy, one tar. They're sitting next to each other in his stomach, and they're touching each other outright. There's no beis hastorim. It's direct contact. But what happened there? That would be the difference between the first approach and the second approach. According to the first approach, tumah belua is metame. So in this case, it would spread the tumah to the other ring. Comes Rabbi and says, no! Tumah belua is not metame. And therefore, it will not transmit to its neighboring ring sitting in the stomach. Rabba's main point is, for instance, for example, he swallowed 2 rings. One was tummy, one was tummy. They're sitting next to each other in the stomach. Even in this case, there's no issue of beis hastorim. They're touching each other outright. Still, the tummy one will not be matami the tahira one because it's balua. Ask the Gemara. Let's circle back to our Mishnah. So why then do we say that the woman who has this lifeless embryo, the chaya who stuck her hand in becomes tamei? But tumah there is hidden. It's enveloped. It's swallowed. It's tumah belua. For uber b'chaya, the uber and the chaya, they're like the 2 rings, right? Become matamel uber the chaya. We say the uber is matamel the chaya. Why? Amar Rabba. I'll tell you why. Shani uber. Uber is different. He's meant to come out, meant to be born. And therefore he loses his balua status. He's sort of expected to come out. Amar Rabba, different than a ring. A ring is also meant to come out. Uber seifet lotzes. Okay, an uber is meant to come out. Tabas is not going to come out. Ain't seifet lotzes. Elamar Rabba. Says Rabba, I'll tell you the reason. You're right, there really is no tumah min ha-Torah because it's balua from Pedisoi, the sages of Pedisa Yadi Time da Misadal. They know the reason for this halacha. Umana, who's the person that's referring to Rav Yosef? Amar Rav Yosef explained. Amar Rav Yudam Shmuel. Tumah, this tumah, the chaya, contracts through touching the uber inside. Really, it's not min ha-Torah. It's balua. Tumah eina midivrei Torah. Ella rather midivrei servants in Rabbanan. We'll see soon why they applied it to him. Ask the Gemara, what does he mean to emphasize by saying this, that it's not min Torah? Don't even think that Aliva the Akiva at the Mishnah, which seems to say that the Uber is matami, is going like Rabbi Akiva the Amur says a tumah which is balua is matami. No, Uber meisha tame, Uber inside the mother is tame. No, that's not the reason. Elafil Rabbi Shmuel, even according to Rabbi Shmuel, who typically says enveloped, swallow tumah is the active. The Amur who says Uber, non-born embryo who died, meisha inside the mother is tahar. Nevertheless, in this case, the chaya, the midwife who touched him, becomes tame, midrabanan. Gozra was a concern. They applied a decree, but tumah midrabanan. Midrabanan, there's tumah. Why? She might not realize, might not pay attention that in fact the embryo started coming out, and his head came out. That's it. Then he's outside. My time. Amar of Hoshia Gzera, who concerns Shema Yotzi Vlad Roisha Chusla Proizda. Maybe the Vlad will have protruded his head beyond the birth canal without her realizing it, and she's still touching it. At that point, it's no longer balua, it's matame. Very difficult to discern, so we said, you know what? Any involvement makes you tame. If that's the case, that's a concern. So why is this tama limited to the midwife? Isha Nami, the mother as well, should be tame. Perhaps this happened, and she came into contact with the Uber on its way out. Isha Margeshas Ba'atma, the mother herself certainly is cognizant in terms of what's happening. She'll discern. She'll differentiate between before and after. Well, if she discerns, then she can convey it to the chaya. So what's the concern of getting mixed up? She'll convey it to the chaya. Stop touch. She's preoccupied and overwhelmed by her experience. The mother is, so she won't necessarily convey it to the chaya, who might, without realizing, continue her involvement even after the Uber starts coming out. In which case, certainly it's no longer tumah balua and it's matami. Okay, so in a nutshell, we learned that something which is balua in an adam, in a behema, is not going to transmit tumah, nor is it going to accept tumah from the outside. So it's a two-way block. Regarding the halacha in the Mishnah, why is the chaya tamei? Well, conclude it's only tumah d'Rabbanan. All the best to you, and atzlacha.